What's up, guys, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions from... Oh, that's not the logo, is it? That's Juju looking salty with the boo-boo face. Oops. But this is a show where I take your questions from YouTube and answer them here in video format. Gonna have to keep that up for the rest of the show. Hope that's okay for all of you guys. I think it'll be fine. But the first question is from Pan Gas, who says, "Hey Q, do you feel against the Chiefs it is going to be a shootout game from the start, or will Kevin try to approach it with the run control, the clock type of game? We literally scored 48 points versus Pittsburgh. Do you think we need 50 plus against the Chiefs to win?" I don't think you want to get into a 50-plus game with the Chiefs because the Chiefs have so many playmakers at so many different levels that if it becomes just a shoot-'em-out type of game, the Chiefs can score more frequently than you can with much more ease. What you want to do if you're the Browns is what you mentioned earlier, right? Play that ball control. Try to put Patrick Mahomes on the field as little as possible. Space out the time from when he's on the field the last time to when he's going to be on the field the next time. Let him get cold. Let him be rusty. And let that offense slow to a crawl, or at least try to slow to a crawl. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to hold them under 20 points. But what you could do is slow them down a little bit and hopefully rest your defense enough so they can hold up, and also rush them more effectively and more frequently since they'll be rested. So ball control, time of possession, absolutely going to be key in the divisional round this week when it comes to the Browns and Chiefs. And that's how I think, just from right now, my initial look at this game, how the Browns would have to win it. Next question comes from Troy, who says, "Hey Q, loving the win, and if our team can build and play solid all around again, I believe we have a shot. But with a lot of our team coming back, what do you think our game plan for the Chiefs is going to be, and are we going to try our best to stop Patrick Mahomes?" The game plan for the Chiefs, again, it's going to be difficult, right? Because also you have to factor in Patrick Mahomes. We know Tyreek Hill. We know all the pieces, Nicole Harmon. I don't know if they're going to have Sammy Watkins back or if they had Sammy Watkins back. But they also have Patrick Mahomes, who's a threat to run. They have Le'Veon Bell. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is hurt for the rest of the year. So I do think it's just Le'Veon Bell. Again, I haven't done a lot of research into this game at this point, but they have playmakers all around. So the best defense is, again, to keep the ball away from the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what you're going to want to do. Hope that you can force a couple turnovers and run the ball effectively and control the pacing of the game, and that's how you can win. That is the pathway to victory for the Cleveland Browns. You're not going to stop Patrick Mahomes, right? Patrick Mahomes is not somebody who can be stopped, and Patrick Mahomes is not somebody who, even if you're up 28-0 or something like that, like they were, that doesn't mean that lead's anywhere near safe. We have seen him come back from ridiculous leads before in his career. So that's what you have to do against the Chiefs. You have to play ball control. You have to keep the ball out of their hand. You have to space out the time that they have, and you have to be able to blitz successfully and disrupt the line of scrimmage, and not just get there, but finish. That's a big thing with Patrick Mahomes. If you don't finish, he'll burn you. The next question comes from Ben H., who says, "This game," talking about the Browns-Steelers game, "made my life complete. Never been happier as a Browns fan. If there was one thing I was a little worried about, it seemed that our first and second down defense was great, but third and fourth down defense was a completely different story. And is this because a lot of us were playing prevent defense, or is it because something you should be concerned about?" Both, right? Some of this was prevent defense, right? Some of this was the Browns just letting them have short stuff. A lot of this, though, was also because the Browns just couldn't get pressure with their front five after the initial half of the game. So then that's going to be something you want to look into. You're going to want to see Myles Garrett have a better game next week. You're going to need that from Myles Garrett. You're going to want to see Denzel Ward be able to make an impact if he can come back. That will do a better job at stopping or at least slowing the passing attack to give Myles more time. Those are the things that are going to be very important next week. So I don't want to just hand wave off, the points that Pittsburgh was able to score in the second half of this game as, oh, no, that was just garbage time, because we did that against Tennessee, and those issues turned out to be real. So these are real issues with the secondary, and they've been there all year. So I'm not trying to be a downer. What I am saying is that is an issue you do need to adjust for for and control for. And it'll be interesting to see how the Browns try to do that against an offense that is as potent as Kansas City Chiefs. Again, you force a couple turnovers, you control the pace of the game, you can win. But you got to do those things. Dennis Lutz asks, hey, Q, what is your take on the whole Blake Hance thing story? Is this accumulation of our season? Is this a next man up mantra? This is what happens when you have a great culture in place, right? When you have the right culture in place, you can get a good game out of anybody. How many times have the Pittsburgh Steelers in their heyday, right before, this recent era that they've been in, but in their heyday, just had random guys step up? How many times, time after time, have the New England Patriots just have some guy step up and become a huge star? How many times? Go back to the Seattle Seahawks, back when they were Legion of Boom. Malcolm Smith was a product of that, right? When you have the right culture, when your locker room has the right mindset, things like this happen. People tend to step up when they're needed to step up because that is what it's all about. So this is on the coaching staff, the front office, and ownership being able to finally build a cohesive culture. This is what a great franchise looks like, right? Backs against the wall. You're down to a dude you picked off the street from the Jets, and then that guy somehow plays his best game because you are putting him in the best position to be successful. A great franchise is a franchise that puts any player in the best position to be successful. It's why we've seen so many Browns be great other places when the Browns were a little bit of a mess of a franchise. And now it's why we're seeing guys step up that weren't stepping up at other places, because now the Browns are much more functional and just flat good organization. That's what it is. The next question comes from Stefan Milo, who says, looking at Myles Garrett's stats from yesterday, where do you think he impacted the game the most? He got some pressures early on. And again, it's been the same story with Myles. Early on in games, he has that step, he has that juice. He's able to get those pressures and everything that he normally does, but he's just not getting home. He's a step slower than what he was in his hot period during the season. And then in the second half, they either put everybody on him or he starts to disappear. And that's just going to be something that they're going to have to deal with and fix, or hope that he gets more rested as the week goes on. But, that's something to keep your eye on, right? Myles Garrett's probably going to have a big game in order for the Browns to pull this one out. A question from RTR says, who do you trust covering Travis Kelce? He could tear this team apart. Malcolm Smith, to his credit, has done a good job. They're going to try to put Carl Joseph on him sometimes. I'm not as excited about that. But I think, it's going to be a team effort, right? It's going to be between Ronnie Harrison, Carl Joseph, and Malcolm Smith to be able to figure that one out. Now, the Browns have been decent against tight ends this year. They've played a lot of really good tight ends. None of them have killed them as much as you would expect. So that is a good sign. I know Mark Andrews had a good quarter against us in Baltimore, but he didn't really kill us the whole game like he has in other games. So that's good news, right? I'm less worried about Travis Kelce. And look, Travis Kelce's going to get his numbers, but I'm more worried about covering people like Mecole Hardman because we know if we get Denzel back, Tyreek Hill, Denzel Ward, if you lose that battle, you lose that battle. You don't feel so bad about that. But that other battle, right, those other guys with top-end speed, that's what you're going to be worried about. That slot receiver or, the Mecole Hardmans who are going to be matched up on an MJ Stewart or Kevin Johnson or Robert Jackson. That's where they're going to try to attack. This next question comes from Thomas B, who says, hey, Q, love your videos. I always look forward to watching them. My question is, do you think Denzel Ward, assuming he plays, will follow Tyreek Hill around the field, considering nobody else in the secondary can really keep up with his speed? Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, he should. He's the only one who's qualified to cover Tyreek Hill. Unless you're going to double cover him all game, he's the only one qualified. That's just absolute facts. He's the only one who's fast enough, strong enough, and athletic enough to keep up with him. Terrence Mitchell can do some things against him, but if he goes deep, that's going to be tough for Terrence. So, yeah, I would say Denzel. This question comes from Crizzo, who says, do you think these analysis will finally give Baker his credit? Some will, some won't. Look, here's the thing, man. If the ideal is we're looking for universal praise for Baker Mayfield, that's a pipe dream, right? There are going to be people who give Baker Mayfield credit. There are going to be people who just don't give Baker Mayfield his credit. Think about Michael Jordan. There are people who still don't give Michael Jordan credit. He's the best basketball player of all time. LeBron James, second best basketball player of all time. Nobody gives him his. Some people give him his credit. Some people don't. It's just like that. You know, Baker Mayfield, some people are going to give him his credit. Some people are going to continue to not give him his credit, not give him his due. And that's up for Baker Mayfield and this Cleveland Browns team to continue to prove wrong. Because you know what? If they win a Super Bowl this year or in the next few years, not much anybody can say about him, right? That matters or that lands, right? It's like saying something about Tom Brady. It don't land because he got all them rings. So that's up to Baker Mayfield. If you're looking for universal praise, it's never going to happen. But you can get to a point to where, you know, those digs just don't land like they used to, right? Elijah Cable with the question says, can we give Bill Callahan some credit for his work on the O-line, 4-string guards in that game? We're running behind the A and B gap. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the entire coaching staff in offensive line deserves a huge round of applause. A huge round of applause for Jedrick Wills, who kept it together on that left side, even though he had just nobody behind him. J.C. Tretter, who anchored that offensive line as the most veteran guy on the unit. And Wyatt Teller, who's a beast. An absolute beast. I can't wait till the Browns re-sign him this offseason because they better. You know, those guys stepped up so big when they had the Conklin injury and they had to put Kendall Lamb out there, who played decently at right tackle. Shout out to him. And they had to fill in for the left guard. Those guys played so well. Jedrick Wills, on some of these PFF grades, he does not grade out well universally because he's lopsided, right? In the beginning, in most parts of this year, he was a great pass blocker, terrible run blocker. He's getting more even, right? Good pass blocker, staying at that level, but he's getting much better at his run blocking. That's going to come with time. But he plays out there like a veteran. He's very smart, and that's very helpful. J.C. Tretter, hats off to J.C. Tretter. This was a guy who was brought in from Green Bay, and the biggest question about J.C. was his injury status, right? And so far, knock on wood, JC has been healthy. JC has been consistent. JC has taken up that role of leadership on the offensive line. JC has been incredible to the point to where you can have none of your offensive line coaches out there, and JC Tretter is out there coaching the unit, playing on the team, and doing just fine, filling in backups, doing his thing. Hats off to J.C. Tretter. I know people want to replace him with Nick Harris for cap reasons, but you know what, man? J.C. Tretter, he already's got a contract through the next 2 years. He might have to get extended, man. He might have to get extended. But that's it for this week's questions. Thank you guys for asking. Thank you, Juju, for making this such a raucous and fun environment for the last few days. Again, appreciate that, Juju. Everybody thank Juju on the way out. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.